Okay, so I have debated on even sharing this, and if I was, how would I go about it? Because it looks pretty crazy, and there's no way around that because it is crazy. And I am even confused on some of my choices. And so I guess this is gonna be kind of like a therapy session for me. I don't know why I keep getting into these awful situations that are just so like movie-like, but it's happened again. And I figured since you have followed me through the beginning of this, you should know how it ends. So you know, for a while now, I have been dating Benny, and you might have noticed in the last couple videos, he has not been in them anymore. I have not included him in the videos, and there's a reason for that. So, when I first met him, he was very nice. He was one of the nicest guys that I had met in a long time. And there was a lot of really sweet things he did that stood out to me. And one of the things he used to do would be at the end of the night, he would tell me all the things that day that he appreciated or he liked or he learned from. And they would be things that you didn't think anybody noticed. And you're like, really? Like he noticed that and he liked that? And it was kind of touching. And I think that's what really got me, is how he'd be like, you know what I liked about you today? And then I thought, he must really be into me if he's paying this much attention, you know, to notice these little things. And that's when I kind of started relaxing with him and start going, okay, all right, he might not be exactly my type, but I'm never going to find somebody that's exactly my type. That's just a fairy tale and not realistic. And I try to be realistic as much as I can. And we are in the middle of a pandemic, and I knew it would be hard to meet people. And this just felt like it made sense for the time. I knew I would never marry him. I knew the relationship would not really be able to grow past a certain point. But he still provided something into my life that was meaningful. He was able to fix things in my house. We had a bunch of good laughs. We did have good times. We went to Vegas. You saw those videos. You saw us when we went to Boise, Idaho. About 4 months in, I started seeing him behave differently. He would get angry over nothing, and he would make it my fault, even though I did nothing. And he would accuse me of really crazy things. Like, if I was going to the grocery store, he would accuse me of going to meet some guy. But I wasn't. I needed groceries. It even came to the point where it started hurting other relationships in my life, other friendships. Because I would have a friend around me, and then he would scream and yell at that person. And they did nothing at all. He would say the absolute most awful things. And I didn't understand this behavior. Like, where was this coming from? What does this mean? Like, does he really believe this stuff? And why does he want to hurt all these people around him? And people he barely even knows, like people that have been nice to him. And then I started figuring out that he's mentally ill, that I started seeing signs in him like I see in my sister. And I think that that's kind of why I was so understanding, maybe too forgiving, maybe too nice to him. Because I don't think it's until you have dealt with somebody you know well that has mental illness to really understand it. I don't think if my sister wasn't mentally ill, I would understand mental illness. That's the only reason why I can tell you that I know certain things are true. Like, you know, I've known my sister, you know, most of my life. We're 3 years difference, but I've known her since I was 3 years old, you know. And she was totally normal up until she was 19. And then that's when I started seeing the mental illness in her. And then I was able to be like, well, when she's behaving this way, this is not really her, this is the illness, you know? And that would last for a little while, and she believed these delusional things, and then it would kind of pass. So then I just kind of felt like that was happening with Benny, because he would have like these episodes of like rage. I mean, like pure rage. I've never seen anyone this mad before in my life. It is scary when it happens. You don't know how far he's gonna take it. You don't know if it's just words. You don't know if he's gonna put hands on you. You don't know if he's gonna break everything in your house. You don't know if he's gonna try to crash your car. I mean, yes, we're talking that angry. But I guess I've been kind of conditioned over the years with all of the crazy things I've dealt with, that to just be calm and to kind of take it. And I know most people wouldn't. But there's this conflict in your mind of, this isn't really who they are, it's gonna pass. So I did start feeling like changes in myself, like fear, and the way I behave started becoming different because I was constantly being accused of crazy things I wasn't doing. And if you're not doing something, how can you change it? You know, you can't change something you're not doing. And he would just be so sure of these things. And then I tried things like joking about it. Like, well, you caught me, the Village People came over last night. You know, that gay man's group of all those people that sing, you know, the Village People, the YMCA song. I try to use humor. So as these yelling episodes would happen, I kind of just waited for it to pass. Like sometimes it would be on the phone and I would just hang up, and then he'd leave me all these awful voicemails calling me names. And then I would just block him on the phone for a couple hours, and a couple hours later it would be like it didn't happen, and he would pretend like it didn't happen. I would be like, oh, how are things? Like I'd talk to him a couple hours later and he'd be like, oh, everything's fine. You could hear it in his voice, like he's different. And I'm like, what was that earlier? He goes, I don't know what you're talking about, but he knew. He'd like laugh. I'd be like, well, why did you tell me you hated me? And I was doing all of these things. And he goes, I don't know what you're talking about. Like knowing, but joking that he didn't know. And so it was like confusing. So then I'm like, is this just like a sick game that he plays, or is he really mentally ill? Now he told me he is like paranoid schizophrenic and has multiple personality disorder, but I was told that multiple personality disorder is actually like very rare. There would be this really, really nice side and then this really, really mean side. One day it escalated and he started calling me saying that he knew that I had had another guy sleep over in my bed last night or something like that. And I'm like, no, I didn't. Like, I didn't want to say I did something I didn't do. That doesn't even make sense. And then I had made this video about relationships, about abuse in relationships. And I wasn't even talking about him in that video, but he thought I was talking about him. And then I thought that was a bad sign, that he thought I was talking about him. Like he knew he does those kinds of things. I was just here on the couch downstairs, had the TV on. I was drinking my protein shake and I had the TV on, and he kept calling me, you know, accusing me and all this. And I just hung up the phone, and then he kept calling over and over and over again. And he started leaving me voicemails, and I was just waiting for it to pass. You know, all right, give it a couple hours, this will pass. And I live 40 minutes away from him. So it's not like I thought he was going to show up here because he's gonna have to make a 40-minute drive. So I was relaxing, and next thing I know, a while later, I heard some loud knocking on my front door. And I thought that was odd, because most people know to not come to my house without telling me first. And I looked down my staircase, and there's like a window above the door, and I could see him there knocking on it, like angry. I could see how angry he was out on the little window. And then he starts kicking the door, and he kicked it twice, and it swung open, and the boards on the side of the door frame split in half. It was crazy. It was like whoosh, or like came out like that, and it was like, then he started running up the stairs like psycho, and grabs me by the back of my head like this and starts like pounding my head on the floor. I don't know if he drugged me or I slid across the floor in the kitchen. He started kicking my sides. Okay. Another crazy situation. Today was awful. I don't even know how to start this. I've known that Benny had a mental health condition for a long time. He makes up stuff in his mind and believes it and then punishes you for it. And, you know, I wasn't gonna ever tell anyone about this issue that he had. And maybe you could tell there was something off about him. And I didn't know about this in the beginning, and so I guess that's how it always is, right? So he asked me if I had made a video, and I said, yeah, I made a video about, you know, bullying and stuff like that. And then he asked me if it was about him, and I said, no, it's not about you, and it wasn't about him. And I sent him the link to it, and I said you could watch it. And then he kept asking me over and over again, is it about me? Is it about me? And you know, it's not. And then he said that my tone of voice wasn't normal, and that I can't be a normal person. I'm just not normal, and started saying all these awful things to me, and you know, that nobody would ever want me, and I'm awful, and started threatening my life.
There's blood fucking everywhere, bitch.
Why? Why is there blood everywhere?
There's fucking blood everywhere.
Why? What is the blood from? You have blood all over yourself.
I'm on my way. I'm coming to you. I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Oh.
Yeah, I am. I'm gonna fucking murder you. You dumb piece of shit. You dumb fucker.
And he kept repeatedly calling. I blocked the number. He started calling me private repeatedly, and left me messages saying he was going to show up at my house and beat me. Now, I didn't believe it. About 30 minutes later, I heard bang, bang, bang on the front door, and I look, and it's him. And then he kicks my door in, and the door swings open, and he runs up the stairs and grabs the back of my head and starts pounding it into the floor. Then he tries strangling me, and I felt my head go light, you know, stars in my eyes, and I thought I was gonna pass out, and then I thought maybe I could die. And because he does that fighting stuff, I know that the tapping out, you know, is kind of what they know to like stop. And so I did that, and then he kind of let go, and I stood up. Anyways, it went on and on for a long time, and I know from personal experience of dealing with crazy people, you kind of just have to be calm the whole time, and you have to act like you're not going to do anything. And I knew that he wanted me to run so he could chase me. I know he wanted me to start crying. I know he wanted me to scream. I know he wanted me to grab my phone and make a phone call so he could just punish me for it. So I just stood there in the kitchen, and then he said he was going to grab one of the knives and slit my throat. And you know, I'm in disbelief about the whole situation. I brought the creature with me over here. Anyways, so he had came in with a glass beer bottle when he walked in, so he was drinking and driving, and then he smashed it on my coffee table, so there was glass everywhere. And he was screaming and yelling. It's like, if you've ever seen anyone go if you've ever seen anyone go manic, their eyes look like they have a demon in them, like they're a demon, they're possessed, and then like their cheekbones sit up higher. It's how manic people are, and I've seen it in my sister too. So I knew he was having like a psychotic break, and you can't talk him out of it. There's like literally nothing you can do. You have to just wait for it to pass, and it can go on for hours. Then he said that he's not going to let me be alone. He's going to watch me all night to make sure I don't tell anybody about this. I mean, he punched me. I'll show you. This bruise is from him. This is all swollen up. And this is from him. me's crawling across the carpet. It's a rug burn. And is there a mark here? A mark here? Because it just happened today. And my jaw hurts here. Like that hurts to move because of the strangling, and my throat is sore. So if I sound funny, it's because the strangling made my throat sore. I don't know why, but it did. And my whole sides are hurting and my back. So I then was just trying to be really calm and act like nothing happened so it wouldn't get worse, because I knew it would escalate, because anything can provoke and trigger it. And I knew that he is much stronger than me and it would be very easy for him to kill me. And he was telling me that if I call the police, he's either going to kill me or kill himself. And then he says, well, what are we gonna do? And I said, I don't know, because now my door's been kicked in and I can't even lock my door, and I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. I need my door fixed. And I told him he needed to fix it. I was trying to find an excuse to leave the house, because I knew as long as I stayed in the house by myself with him, he could easily beat me more, kill me, smash my stuff in my house. He told me he was going to hurt my creature. And I didn't want to go upstairs because it's like more things he could break or whatever. And then I said, well, we need to fix the door. And then he tried to get me to have sex with him. He told me I need to have sex with him. He came and reached down my pants and pulled up my thong and ripped the sides off and pulled my thong out from my pants. He was watching me so much, and then he said that he's going to keep watching me and that I have to be in his sight. So we had to barricade the front door, and then we went out through the garage with the garage door opener. And I was standing in the street and he was staring at me like he was going to hurt me more and chase me if I ran. So I knew I had to get in the car. I got in the car with him. He was all red in the face. He was sweating like crazy. He was saying this was all my fault. How could I make him do this? I made him do this. This is all my fault. And that he was gonna like punch me and knock me out. And I was debating what to do, because I do know that you're not supposed to let them move you to another location because you don't know where you're gonna go. And I live off a really major big road, and then there's a freeway at the end of it, and we were approaching the freeway, and I thought, oh geez, if we get on that freeway, I don't know what's gonna happen. Then we came up to a stoplight, and I just jumped out of the car and started running. There was an apartment complex, and I started running through this apartment complex, calling the police. And like, the police are so like they're not very smart, it seems. They were asking me not good questions. I said all the information they needed like right away, and I was running, and then I see him pulling into the parking lot, into where I was, and looping around looking for me. And so I had to try to hide, and then he found me and he jumped out of his car and started trying to chase me, but he was much farther away from me than, you know, so I was able to go somewhere where he couldn't find me. And then I ran up a staircase and ducked down, and then the police continued to ask me questions, and I'm like, I can't talk right now because I don't want them to hear me and see where I'm at. But they didn't care. They just kept doing it. And finally the police came, and I mean, all it was about my injuries. What injuries do you have? What's the pain level, 1 through 10? I'm like, right now that's not my worry. Anyways, I dealt with the police for a long time. We ended up going back to my house. We had to do a video where they film me coming in the house and explaining what happened, and showing the door and showing the broken stuff and showing my injuries. Is this like normal from what you see from these kind of situations, like domestic violence? Or, and they said this was one of the worst situations. And I'm like, really? Because it's not like he cut me open or anything. And in my mind, I'm like, this is not one of the worst situations, but they said it was. I guess they're the police and they deal with it. And I said, why? Because he kicked in my door and came up the stairs. And I mean, they didn't really give me an answer. And then they said I was not allowed to stay at my place. I had to leave because he might come back there, and my door's been kicked in, so he could easily just get back in. And I'm like, okay, well. And I wasn't gonna leave my creature, so I put him in the cat carrier and I packed a small bag, and the police like waited for me. And they barricaded my door with garbage cans from inside the door and like shoved up against it, and I just left through my garage. Now I'm at my parents' house. But like the police took my phone for a while, and I didn't hear some of my messages, and now I'm worried he killed himself. It's just like one thing after another, and if I seem oddly calm, it's because I'm still in shock and disbelief. Like Benny was like one of like my closest people, you know, like I spent all my time with him. So like not to spend time with him would be like really dramatic for me, even though he did this. I'm just gonna play this message. So.
Kristen, please, I don't know what to do. You know I have mental health problems, please. You know I'm struggling right now. You know that I'm having a hard fucking time. I don't need you to be with me. I need you to please. You're the only person I have. Please. Call me back, please.
And I did try to call him, even though I'm not supposed to, and his phone is shut off. And I tried calling him, blocked. My mom tried calling him, the phone's off. The police have tried calling him, the phone's off. We have called a mental health crisis line, and they can't do anything without talking to him. The police will not do a wellness check. So I'm still like out of my mind from the situation. Like I have a really bad headache and stuff. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I thought I should just sit down and tell you what happened in the moment, so everything, I can remember everything, you know. And I know I'll probably forget stuff because I'm just so like out of it. And they actually told me, like the police actually told me, if you remembered everything that happened like exactly, then they would think I was lying. The fact that I can't remember every detail and I keep forgetting the order of stuff means that they know I'm telling the truth. So I thought that was interesting. So now I guess I just have to wait. The police said they would call me if he got arrested. I did tell the police that I don't really want him to go to jail. I really just want him to get help. You know, I don't really want to put anyone in jail. That's not my thing, but I realize this is like really serious and bad, and I guess I could have been dead, but I guess look who's with me now. My baby, my creature. My dazzling furry gentleman. How's my dazzling furry gentleman? So I am now back in my old bedroom that I grew up in high school at my parents' house. But, and the other thing that was odd was the police actually told me that everyone thinks they feel safe with their door locked, and it's really not that safe. Like anyone can kick it in very easily. That actually the way they barricaded my door from the inside was better than having the door locked. And I thought, oh great. And I told the police if I ever build a house, I am going to have a steel frame on my door. And they laughed and said, yeah, definitely do that. And well, I've decided to leave my parents' house. I have the creature here. They just don't understand serious situations, really. If you don't do things their way, then they get angry with you and say that you need to calm down, even though you're not upset like that. And here we are again, and I'm gonna go back to the house and I guess show you what it looks like, show you the barricading, and hope that Benny isn't sitting out in front of my house. But I don't know what to do. I just know I can't sleep here. I don't feel comfortable. I'll just stay awake all night and all that. So I'm gonna show you how This had to be barricaded. It was pretty embarrassing having the police here earlier, so this is what they did. They opened this door from the garage and then put these trash cans here like this. So I'm gonna, they went through my house before I got here to make sure he wasn't in here. Move all of this stuff and figure out how I'm gonna. Great. Okay, just another problem, right? So because I live in Oregon and he lives in Washington and they're two different states, the police apparently can't call each other and get them to help each other, which is weird to me. You can't call the person on the other side of the bridge and say, hey, help me out here? No, you can't apparently, because it's not in their jurisdiction. So they didn't arrest him because it happened in Oregon and he lives in Washington and he went back to Washington. So 4 months goes by, the police do nothing. I hear nothing from them, nothing at all. And then about 7 o'clock in the morning, I get an alert on my phone. I now have cameras out in front of my house. I have Ring cameras that go straight to my phone. If there's any motion in the camera range, it shows me video and I can also hear what you're saying. And I see police officers at my front door at 7 o'clock in the morning now. I'm in bed sleeping at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, what's going on? I thought, like, what awful things happen now that they've come to tell me about?
Hello?
Hi there, is that Kristen?
What's going on?
Just looking for Benjamin.
What's going on?
A couple
He's
months.
not here. He lives in Vancouver.
Yeah, I understand. Just any chance we could take a peek inside and make sure he's not here?
Why would he be here?
You tell me.
Why would he be here?
So, oftentimes, victims and suspects get back
What?
together.
I don't want him here.
Okay, that's fine. From what I've been told, the case officers tried to follow up with you, and you haven't been exactly forthcoming, which is fine. You don't have any obligation to. We still have to follow up and attempt
That's not
contact
true
with
at all.
him. I'm sorry, what's that?
That's not true, though. No one has contacted me about it.
Okay. Maybe I'm misinformed about that. Do you have any photographs that you might have taken immediately following the assault?
And then they tell me they're looking for Benny. I'm like, well, he doesn't live here. But because of the lion situation, now if you follow my videos, you know that there was a situation here at the house with Lion and the SWAT team came and I said, well, you need a search warrant to enter my house because I thought I had rights. But apparently I don't. They came in anyways, and then I got in trouble for asking for a search warrant for my own house. And I figured they were trying to do that to me again. So I let them in. And that was the day that everything started up again. The police kept coming here trying to subpoena me to go and talk about the situation. But I have a hard time with that because they waited 4 months. So if you wait 4 months after you know about a violent attack, you're not really worried about a person's well-being. Because I could have been dead. I could have already gotten married. I could have run off to another state or left the country, or a lot can happen in 4 months. You're gonna tell me it's because all your files are so backed up because of the pandemic you didn't get to it now? I don't know. I have a hard time believing that. And no one's gonna believe, if you were worried about my well-being, that you would have waited that long. The police were coming to my house every day, sometimes twice a day, and like they're gonna catch me, sneaking up, and you can see on the cameras, I can show some of the footage, it's kind of funny. But it was scary because it's like, I was afraid to leave my house. I'm like, so you're gonna really force me to do this? You're gonna force me to do this. You're not gonna ask me if I wanna do this. You're not gonna ask me if I'm okay with pressing charges, even though I already said I don't wanna press charges, but you're gonna force me to do it. They weren't gonna stop coming to my house. They weren't. So I just had to eventually allow them to subpoena me and all of that. I had to talk to a grand jury, and I'm tired of being scared. Like, I shouldn't have to live in fear and then being forced to do things that I'm uncomfortable with doing, because too much of that has happened in my life. Way too much of that has happened in my life. And if he was able to hide this for months and be a very kind person, and then all of a sudden change into this evil, mean, controlling person, does that mean it was just a sick game that he enjoys playing, a calculated game where he knows to wait the right amount of time until he thinks you're hooked? Or did he just stop taking his medication? Like, what does this mean? It's just strange to be able to hide it for so long and then not be able to hide it anymore. And then it was like he knew he would have to be nice sometimes, because if he was mean the whole time, you know, why would anyone stay around? I mean, I know the question is, why would anyone stay around for this? I know. And the simple answer to that is because leaving is the most dangerous time in an abusive relationship. Because when you leave and they see that you're trying to leave is when they try to kill you or hurt you the most. And that is why. Also, you know, a lot of the reason why people stay in relationships is because they're stuck in a routine together. You know, they're stuck in a routine and they're used to being around each other, or they rely on the other one for something. And it's just hard to get out of that. You know, you have to go through a whole grieving process. Even if the person's bad, yeah, you have to go through a grieving process. I think the reason why we have such a hard time with it is because no one person is all bad. And so there are good qualities about bad people. And sometimes those good qualities are hard to find too, you know, and we crave that good quality, or maybe we've been alone for a long time and there is that comfort in those times, and we just hope that those things pass, or we just turn our head and, you know, try to forget the bad, knowing in the back of our head that it will probably happen again. But it's just this vicious cycle. I just don't understand, like, what the appeal would be to hurt another person. Like, why would it be fun? Or they just feel powerful. It just makes a very weak person feel powerful. If they put fear in you, if they put hands on you and they see you hurting, well, that makes them a powerful person. No, it really just makes them a very weak, sick, disgusting person. And nobody likes a person that way. So the big question is, if you're able to hide it for a long period of time and then you show that behavior, does that mean it was just calculated? Does that mean it's not mental illness? Or is it just another kind of mental illness? I don't know. I'm trying to figure out the shortest way to explain things because there's just so much to say. I guess part of me is kind of mad at myself because I did hang out with him after this. Like, why was I so concerned about him after he wasn't concerned about me? And I guess that shows just how kind of a person I really am. Like, I put others before myself, probably too much. And I need to stop doing that. And I know that he's probably going to have a hard time understanding, why did I hang out with him and he thought things were okay? And I think that's just being delusional on his part. Like, why would things be okay? You know, he spent a lot of my money that I wasn't okay with. I'm embarrassed about these things, but you know, it's not me. I shouldn't be embarrassed about this. He did this to me. And for some odd reason, I felt like I needed to kind of stand up for him because of mental illness. And then I started feeling like I would be betraying myself, and that later down the line I would regret that if I didn't stand up for myself, because too many times I have put others first and I shouldn't have. And I have been very angry about it later. And this time I am going to stand up for myself and stand up for anybody else that's been in this situation by talking about it. Like, I have to try to get myself back. I have to try to recover from this, and I don't know how long it's going to take. And I don't know if I'll ever be completely the same again. I don't. Because I feel like he has taken part of me permanently, and that scares me. And then I just start asking myself, like, why did I try to stand up for him so much? Like, why did I say it's mental illness and I don't want to press charges? Like, why am I telling the police I don't want to press charges when I should absolutely press charges? And I know that if Benny watches this, he's going to have a really hard time understanding, like, why did things change? I think I just started realizing what really happened. I was honest with myself, and I have to do that. And one of the things that really, really bothered me was we had lunch together one time, and when we got back in the car, he looks at me and says, I deleted the voicemails. I'm like, what do you mean? He went in my phone and deleted the voicemails that he had left on my phone, the evidence that shows it was him calling me names, saying he was going to kill me. And then he looks at me like he's going to get away with this. And I thought, you think you should get away with this? Like you're giving yourself permission to do it again. And when I saw that, I thought, I can't let that happen. Because if he doesn't kill me, he'll kill somebody else. And yes, I think it's that bad. I do. I truly do. And I know that some people might think it's strange that I'm talking about this publicly or whatever. But you know what? He asked for that. He decided to be part of my videos, and he knew if he ever did anything crazy and got me in a situation again that I would talk about it, and he knew that. So that's not a surprise. And maybe people should be more aware of how they treat people and what they do to them, and I'm going to hold people accountable for their actions because they need to be. People need to stop hurting people. People need to treat others the way you want to be treated. Be a decent human being. It's not that hard. I don't have a hard time with it. It's very easy to be kind. Being kind is free. You know? And I know a lot of people are hurting, and I know times are hard, but it's no excuse. And don't think that you're hurting more than somebody else and that gives you permission, because some people are just good at putting on a smiling face because they don't want to hurt others and they want to make other people feel good because they're hurting and they know what it feels like. Well, I have managed to distance myself from him, and it's been over a month now. We haven't been hanging out, we haven't been talking, and it's strange how different I feel, like in a good way, like not being yelled at, not being accused of things, not being scared, not having to like be careful what I say because it can be twisted around. Like all the things he said to me that he was accusing me of, it's like I have to wonder if he was doing those things. Like he accused me of cheating so much and I was not cheating on him. Does that mean he was cheating on me the whole time? Like, I don't know. It's like so weird to me. So I've been doing a lot of like keeping to myself and just trying to get myself back. Like I feel like I was losing myself, and I feel like it's changed my appearance. I have to try to like, I don't know. It's like being yelled at all the time has changed like my body chemistry. I know that sounds weird, but it's like I feel like I just started gaining weight. You know, my ankle was because of him. The reason I hurt my ankle is his fault. And now I'm literally wondering if I'm ever going to be able to wear heels again because of him. And that would be just taking away such a part of myself because I wouldn't be able to dress the way I want to dress. So if I need to take time to myself and I'm not filming like happy videos, and I'm always trying to think of something, but if, you know, understand it's because I'm trying to heal. And I just don't have anything good to say in front of a camera, you know? I don't know how long it's going to take. This will always affect me. I will always question people in the future, you know? Does that mean if I meet a really nice guy in the future, they're just waiting the right amount of time until they can abuse me? And that will always be in my mind. And I will always fear that. And I might destroy relationships that would have been great because of my fears, because of this situation. So I have been working on this video for a while, and I have been sitting in front of the camera and talking for hours and then deleting the footage, which is silly, I know. Because part of me is afraid to post this because he isn't in jail, and then I think, well, he's gonna see this, he's gonna get angry, and he's gonna try to attack me or spread lies about me. But I feel like I am holding back from my healing process by not sharing my story. Part of me healing is making this video. Not live in fear anymore, because if I don't post this and I keep fearing him seeing it, then I'm giving him power. I'm giving him the power he wants over me. And it is time to take that away from him. Because there was a lot of times that I did not want him in my videos. And I felt like I had to put him in the videos to prove to him that he really is my boyfriend, that I'm not cheating on him, stuff like that. And I don't need to do that anymore. So if you haven't already and you want to see what's going to happen next in my life and in this situation or all the other situations that I've already made videos about, because there's a ton of them, so look back through my videos, I've got a lot of weird shit. Like and subscribe, comment so I know what you want to see. It would also be really helpful if you tell me why you watch my videos, what you want to see again, what you want an update on. That would really help me out a lot. And what video is how you found me? What was the video that you first saw of mine? That would be helpful too. All right, wild animals. Well, remember to always have patience with people because we are all going through something. Okay. Until next time.
We don't have time for all this. I'm sorry, we don't.
What do you mean?
Shit gets annoying.